Hey guys, this is Yoda. In this video, we'll go over the differences between Lightsmith and Templar, how to swap your talent build between the two, and which one I think will be better. So, first of all, with the upcoming patch, a lot of Lightsmith damage is getting nerfed, 20% Divine Guidance, 15% Forge's Reckoning, and also your random Sacred Weapon procs are basically gone. You're going to be playing the scripted Sacred Weapon with 20% cooldown reduction. One thing to note is that especially on single target, we can look at Lockwood here. Divine Guidance is a big part of your damage, so your single target is going to be going significantly down as Lightsmith. To go from a Lightsmith build to Templar, basically you need to get Eye of Tyr, and then all of the rest of these points, in my opinion, are kind of required in Mythic Plus, like Uther's Council, 25% parry, this proc, whatever. All of them are pretty much required in Mythic Plus, so the only real option is to drop Bulwark of Righteous Fury or Inmost Light. This is a pretty significant damage loss. If you can get away with dropping Resolute Defender instead, actually you can't do that, never mind. So yeah, this is pretty much the only way I see playing Templar being viable. Like, you could try playing without Uther's Council, but your bubble's going to have a really long cooldown, Lay on Hands longer cooldown, Spell Ward longer cooldown, so it's going to be really hard. I wouldn't recommend it. This is basically just how you go from any build to a Templar build. So you drop Bulwark of Righteous Fury, and then chances are you have like one flex point somewhere, like Inspiring Vanguard, Bastion of Light, or maybe you already have Eye of Tyr. Anyway, if you have a flex point, you just drop it for Eye of Tyr. So one more thing to go over, the Lightsmith changes. With the change to Forewarning, your weapon is always going to be up every wings. So we'll just change it like this. I don't know why I changed this also with Lightsmith, but whatever. So basically you're going to pre-key the Holy Bulwark. Then when the key starts, this will be at 2 charges. You just wings, and then you're gonna hit some stuff. Then your wings is going to be longer than your Sacred Weapon, as you can see here. Then with 5 seconds left, your Sacred Weapon, boom. And then your wings will end with Sacred Weapon up, but that's okay. And then by the time your next Sacred Weapon is up, wings will be up. So it'll line up that way. Basically just use one Sacred Weapon every wings with the 20% cooldown. That is going to be a bit lower damage, but it is still, you know, at least you have a more scripted way to use your weapons. You're not going to randomly proc weapon and then temper someone to death or yourself. So that is also good. Speaking of tempered in battle, that is actually the major loss, in my opinion, going from Lightsmith to Templar. So with Templar, we are going to take these talents. This is pretty much what you're going to play every time with Templar. So with Templar, as we mentioned, well, you don't put this one, we put this one. With the major differences between Templar and Lightsmith. So Lightsmith has Tempered in Battle, which is massive for your own survivability. If you drop below 40% health and you have a weapon out on someone, then you just start stealing their health. Obviously, you can randomly kill your allies, like in Necrotic Wake, if you just run in with no cooldowns and then weapon someone, and then you steal all their health and they get to throw flesh, they will die. You know, just don't do that. And Tempered in Battle is going to be pretty broken for you. As Templar, I believe after the nerfs, our damage will be higher, but you are going to be missing out on Tempered in Battle. You also are going to be missing out on Rite of Sanctification, so that's 5% armor. This thing is like not that important. So the main differences are Divine Guidance healing, some free wogs, but this realistically just means you don't go as much. Rite of Sanctification armor, and in exchange we're going to get Wrathful Descent, DR-wise, which is 5% reduced damage. Pretty much 100% uptime, I want to say, in a real trash pull. You also get Sacrosanct Crusade, so your Eye of Tyr. First of all, you also have Inmost Light, so Eye of Tyr is a 40-second cooldown now. And you also have extremely strong Eye of Tears with Sacrosanct Crusade. Like, every time you Eye of Tyr, it gives you a pretty big shield. Then the Hammer of Light after either heals you or gives you a big shield. So I would say defensively, Templar is roughly on par with Lightsmith, except for Tempered in Battle. Tempered in Battle is very strong, so if you're relying on that, which a lot of people are, then you're going to be missing that when you go Templar. Damage-wise, though, it is going to be better, and also you have much less propensity to go because you don't have laying down arms, which means you have less of your like defensive budget / HPS budget is built into the free wogs, so you don't have to wog yourself nearly as much as Templar. Even if you wanted to, you can't wog yourself nearly as much. So those are the differences. We talked about how to swap your build. As for which one is actually better, so we kind of went over the defensive differences. In my opinion, Templar will be better in some keys where Tempered in Battle is kind of troll. So if we look at all the dungeons here, Dawnbreaker, I would say Tempered in Battle is actually very, very good until you get to these mini bosses like this one, Ascendant Vixcoria. You're taking a lot of damage from these Tacticians plus the melees, and your group's also taking a lot of damage from the AoEs. and the dots, so it's possible that you like grief someone with Tempered in battle and they kill you, or you kill them, either way. Same with this mini boss. On this mini boss, like, you're kind of wanting to temper your allies because they're not really in danger, so you can steal their health because they can LOS the dot if they need to. Then on this boss, you can get killed by like the boss's melees if you get tempered down, or you could kill someone else with the boss's melee, so this is very dangerous. Once you get to this area, however, Tempered in battle is very OP, not for your own survivability, but actually for your allies. On these two enemies, you're not really in danger, so you can whenever you put a sacred weapon on an ally, generally they'll be stealing your health, but that's actually really good because, you know, you can't really die against these two unless you go AFK or something, but your allies can die. So Tempered in battle is really good in this situation. So basically, if the difference between Lightsmith and Templar defensively is completely dependent on how good Tempered in battle is. If the situation is good for Tempered in battle, then Lightsmith is better. If it's bad for Tempered in battle, then Templar is better. So it'll really depend on the key. As for going key by key, I want to say in Stone Vaults, Tempered in battle is not great for most of the key. It is really good in this area, and it's also really good for the first pull of the dungeon, but if you can survive the first pull as Templar, in my opinion, Templar is going to be better in Stone Vault. In Siege, I think Tempered in battle has a much higher chance to troll your team than to actually save anyone, so in Siege, I would say Templar is probably going to be better. In Necrotic Wake, Templar is also going to be competitive, mostly because, like, in these pulls, if you temper someone's health and then they get Throat Flesh, they can die. You just need to learn how to play without Tempered in battle to survive. In Mists, I would say Tempered in battle is extremely overpowered, and that's because of the Guardian pulls. For instance, this pull. So in this pull, there's 2 Guardians and 1 Stalker, and your group usually kills the Stalker. Once the Stalker is dead, no one is taking damage except you. So Tempered in battle basically means you have 2 full health bars to work with instead of just your own. So in these kind of pulls, Tempered in battle is extremely broken. So I'd say Lightsmith is definitely looking like the play for Mists. Dawnbreaker, we kind of already went over. I would say it's like kind of 50-50. You can play either Templar or Lightsmith. Lightsmith's really useful at the end, though, so if your group is having trouble at the end, then I would stick with Lightsmith. In Grim Batol, I would say it's kind of equal because short cooldown Eye of Tear is super strong, and also, like, most of these pulls are going to be damaging the group for the Lava Bender while you're also taking damage, so Tempered is not that insane for saving both people. In a few of these pulls, though, like, no one's taking damage except you. Like, in this pull, you're the only one taking damage. In this pull, you're the only one taking damage, but at the same time, like, Tempered in battle is really not strong enough to save you from an uncooldown Shadow Flame Slash. So in my opinion, lower cooldown Eye of Tear is better. So I would probably consider playing Templar for this area. Once you get here, though, Lightsmith is really useful against these mobs. So, you know, it's kind of a give and take both ways. In Arakara, I believe Templar is superior until you get to this pull specifically. In this pull, no one else is taking damage except you once the Flyers are dead. In the flows with Flyers, I would say Templar is better because you can accidentally kill someone with Tempered in battle. But once the Flyers are dead and you get to these pulls with just the Overseer and the Reinforced Drones, suddenly Templar becomes better, or sorry, Lightsmith becomes better because you can temper someone else and they're not taking any damage except from your temper. In City, originally I would thought Templar was better. However, once you get to the last boss and this mini boss, you're not really in danger. However, your group is in massive amounts of danger, especially from ticking damage. So Temper in battle is very useful there. So I would say generally Templar is kind of a little bit better, mostly because of this boss, lower cooldown Eye of Tear. But Lightsmith is better for the end, and the end can be harder. So I'd probably opt to play Lightsmith in City. Anyway, that was a quick review of how to play Templar. Oh, we actually didn't talk about how to play Templar. We talked about where to play Templar. So how to actually play Templar. If you watch the original Paladin guide, Templar was really good at the start of the season, so the original Paladin guide talked about it a lot. However, we will review it here. So Templar is based around making your Eye of Tear into a 2-part hit. So I'm going to press Eye of Tear here. Boom, it turns into Hammer of Light. For 12 seconds, you can use Hammer of Light. It costs 3 Holy Power. It's a pretty big hit. You'll notice also when you use Hammer of Light, you get this buff. This buff is called Shake the Heavens. Every time you use a generator, so that's Blessed Hammer, Judgment, or Hammer of Wrath, you extend the buff duration, and your goal is to keep this buff up 100% of the time. So how do we, what globals can we spend to drop this buff? So a global that you spend to drop this buff is, for instance, Consecrate, Avenger's Shield, Divine Toll, and Word of Glory. All of those globals do not extend Shake the Heavens. So basically you're fighting Shake the Heavens, like counting down, versus Eye of Tear coming back up to refresh your buff. Versus also you have this called Light's Deliverance. Whenever you hit 60 stacks of Light's Deliverance, you get a free Hammer of Light to refresh your buff again. So basically the goal is to not use too many of these non-Shake the Heavens extending globals while still staying alive. So we do have a lot of our defensiveness based around Avenger's Shield. So if you see Strength in Adversity, you need to throw your shield every 15 seconds to get 15% parry. Bold Barricade of Faith, you need to throw every 10 seconds to get 10% block. However, there is a trick you can do. So if you look at this talent, Punishment, every time you Avenger's Shield and Interrupt, you get a Blessed Hammer. That Blessed Hammer counts for Shake the Heavens. So theoretically, it is possible with any pull with interrupts to be keeping your Shake the Heavens up while keeping your Avenger's Shield buffs up, as long as every time you use Avenger's Shield, you're getting an interrupt. It's very important to get an interrupt with Avenger's Shield when possible, especially as Templar. As Lightsmith, it was like not the biggest deal, but it was kind of nice when you got interrupts. As Templar, it's very important to be sniping interrupts with Avenger's Shield. That is the main offensive thing about Templar. Just be careful, like if you say, ooh, I need to extend Shake the Heavens, but as a result, I'm going to not stay in my Consecrate, or I'm going to, not throw my Avenger's Shield, you'll probably die. So do keep that in mind. Be super safe. And also towards the end of the pull, if you're about to travel, try to make sure you're going to have some way to get Shake the Heavens back for the next pull, like either high stacks of Lights of Deliverance or Eye of Tear coming back off cooldown. All right, so that is a brief Templar versus Lightsmith rundown. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.